a young woman, full of hope for a fresh start, her life ahead of her. But instead, she would become a victim of one of the most horrific crimes Hong Kong has ever seen. Fan Man-yee, only 23 years old, was kidnapped, tortured, and ultimately murdered in 1999. What happened to Fan, and how her life ended in such brutality, will shock you to the core. Fan Man-yee was born in 1976 in Shenzhen, China, and faced a difficult and challenging start to life. As a young child, she was abandoned by her family and placed in an all-girls orphanage in Ma Tau Wai. At the age of 15, Fan was told she could no longer stay in the orphanage due to age restrictions, forcing her to leave and survive on her own in a harsh world. With no stable support system, she found herself homeless and struggling, which led to her becoming involved in substance abuse. As a result, Fan found herself forced into a dangerous lifestyle at the age of 21, when she began working at a brothel in Sham Shui Po. Despite the challenges of her circumstances, Fan continued to seek a way out. She eventually married Ng Chi-yuan, one of her clients, and gave birth to their son in November 1998. However, her relationship with Ng was troubled and marked by abuse, making it incredibly difficult for Fan to leave her past behind. Determined to make a better life for her son, Fan made a courageous decision to leave her husband and quit substance abuse. She found work as a hostess at Empress Karaoke Club, striving to create a safe and stable future for her child. In her efforts to turn her life around, Fan showed remarkable strength, resilience, and determination. Her journey highlights the resilience of many women who, despite facing overwhelming obstacles, strive to break free from their pasts and create a brighter future for their families. Fan's life, while marked by hardships, reflects a desire for change and a better future, something that would tragically be cut short. On the night of March 17, 1999, Fan Man-yee's life took a horrifying turn. She had already been struggling to escape her past, but a mistake would draw her into an even darker world. Fan, who had been living in difficult circumstances, had stolen a wallet from Chan Man-lok, a notorious member of the Wishing Triad. Inside the wallet was around $500, money that Chan demanded back, alongside an additional fee of $1,300. Although Fan returned the stolen money, she couldn't afford the extra amount, and this would set the stage for her tragic fate. Fan's debt to Chan would not be forgotten. On March 17, Chan, accompanied by his associates Liang Weilun, Liang Xingqiu, and Lao Mingfang, abducted Fan from her apartment. The group forced her into their custody and transported her to an apartment on Granville Road in the heart of Tsim Sha Tsui, a bustling district in Hong Kong. This would be the place where Fan's life would spiral further into darkness. The apartment, which was rented by Chan, became a place of captivity for Fan. Initially, Chan's intention was to force Fan back into sex work to settle her debt, but the situation quickly escalated into severe mistreatment and abuse. However, things quickly escalated as the group subjected Fan to cruel and brutal treatment. Instead of the relatively controlled environment Chan had originally envisioned, her situation became one of suffering and violence, marking the beginning of her prolonged imprisonment. The presence of Triad members in this grim scenario further highlighted the dangerous nature of the world Fan had become entangled in. Fan's life, once filled with hope for a better future, was now confined to a nightmarish reality, where every passing day brought more torment. The captivity would last for weeks, as Chan and his associates exacted their twisted control over her. This was the beginning of an ordeal that would ultimately end in her death. Fan Man-yee's captivity in the apartment marked the beginning of an unimaginable nightmare. Over the course of a month, she endured relentless abuse at the hands of her captors. Chan, along with his accomplices, subjected Fan to severe physical and psychological torment. She was beaten with metal bars, leaving her body bruised and broken. Her captors further escalated their cruelty by burning her with candle wax and hot plastic, causing agonizing pain. The physical abuse was not the only form of torture she suffered. Fan was forced to smile and claim that she enjoyed the beatings, a degrading demand that amplified the psychological trauma. This relentless mistreatment wore down her will and left her in a state of constant fear and suffering. The cruelty Fan endured was not only a result of the physical abuse, but also the manipulation and control exerted over her mind. Forced to endure these horrific acts, her sense of self was shattered. Her captors' sadistic demands continued, pushing her further into despair. Despite the violence she faced, her captors showed no mercy, and the abuse became progressively more intense. Tragically, on April 14 to 15, 1999, Fan succumbed to her injuries, her body unable to withstand the torment any longer. What makes this case even more chilling is that her captors did not immediately dispose of her body. Instead, they took time to dispose of her remains in an equally grotesque manner. This suggests that the violence was premeditated, and Fan's suffering was a deliberate act carried out by her captors over an extended period of time. The extreme brutality Fan faced during her captivity and unimaginable cruelty she endured until her tragic demise. On May 24, 1999, a breakthrough in the case came when Lau Mingfang, one of the perpetrators, led the police to the site where Fan Man-yee's remains were hidden. The scene was a warehouse where her body had been discarded in plastic garbage bags. The discovery of her remains was nothing short of horrifying. Among the gruesome findings was her skull, which had been callously sewn inside a Hello Kitty mermaid doll, a shocking and disturbing act that would forever link the doll to this tragic case. Along with the skull, some of her internal organs were found, but much of her dismembered body had been discarded in various locations throughout the districts of Shamshui-pa, Wanchai, and Tai Kok Sui. The police initially faced significant difficulty identifying the remains due to the severe disfigurement and the manner in which her body had been mutilated. It wasn't until the skull, still hidden inside the Hello Kitty doll, was discovered that Fan's identity was finally confirmed. The doll, a child's toy that had been turned into a morbid keepsake for the killers, would become the most infamous symbol of this horrific crime. The discovery of Fan Man-yee's remains in May 1999 sent shockwaves through the investigation team. While they had already witnessed the brutality of the crime, the extent of the dismemberment was beyond their worst expectations. The investigation revealed the deeply disturbing details of the murder that would haunt not only the authorities, but also the public. When Fan's body was found, it was clear that the violence she had endured was far more horrific than anyone had anticipated. The cold nature of her dismemberment added another layer of horror to an already incomprehensible crime. The shocking nature of the crime sent ripples of fear and disbelief across the city of Hong Kong, leaving the public horrified and disturbed. The breakthrough came when Lau Mingfang, one of the perpetrators, decided to cooperate with the authorities. His decision to come forward and confess to his role in the crime was the key to unlocking the mystery. Lau's confession led to the arrests of Chan Man-lok, Leung Wai-luan, and Leung Shing-cho, all of whom were implicated in Fan's death. The case then went to trial in October 2000, and it would prove to be a pivotal moment in the investigation. The public's and the victims' families' anticipation grew as the truth of the crime began to unfold in the courtroom. During the trial, the three men were convicted of manslaughter despite the undeniable brutality of their actions. While the defendants claimed that they had not intended to kill Fan, they acknowledged their involvement in the abuse that led to her tragic death. Their lack of remorse and the chilling indifference displayed by the perpetrators only deepened the emotional toll on Fan's family, as well as on the witnesses and the broader community. This callousness added a layer of emotional devastation that would remain long after the trial concluded. Leung Wai-luan was sentenced to life imprisonment, with a possibility of parole after 20 years, a decision that was met with strong reactions from both the public and the judicial system. The judge presiding over the case condemned the brutality of the crime, describing it as one of the most depraved cases in Hong Kong's recent history. The severity of the abuse, the grotesque dismemberment of Fan's body, and the utter lack of remorse displayed by the perpetrators left an indelible mark on the city. The case served as a stark reminder of the depths of human cruelty, prompting deep reflection on the vulnerability of women and the need for societal change to prevent such violence. The trial also had an emotional impact on the witnesses and Fan's family members, who had to endure the painful recounting of the horrors Fan suffered in captivity. For Fan's family, the trial was an emotional and painful journey that brought the tragedy of her death into sharp focus. The devastation and grief they endured during the trial was unimaginable. They were forced to come face to face with the cruel and callous reality of what had been done to their loved one. This profound emotional toll added to the deep scars left by the crime, which would remain long after the trial had concluded. In the aftermath of the case, the impact of Fan Man-yee's death rippled through Hong Kong and the wider world. The case became a symbol of the vulnerability of women and the severe consequences of violence against them. Fan's story remains one of the most chilling and deeply upsetting cases in Hong Kong's history. It serves as a powerful reminder of the brutal realities women face and the lasting psychological and emotional scars caused by such violence. Her tragic death, followed by the lengthy trial and conviction of her perpetrators, marked a turning point in how such cases were viewed and addressed in Hong Kong's legal system. Fan's skull, which was central to the crime's gruesome nature, was kept by the forensic pathologist until 2004. It was then returned to Fan's family for cremation, providing them with a chance to lay their loved one to rest, despite the terrible circumstances surrounding her death. In 2012, the apartment building where the crime occurred was demolished, severing the last physical connection to the crime scene. The site was rebuilt into a hotel, a stark contrast to the horrors that had taken place there. Despite the physical changes to the building, the memory of the crime and the lasting emotional impact on the community remained. The case generated significant media attention, leading to the production of films based on the horrific events. The public shock and disbelief were reflected in the coverage, as the story continued to captivate the world. Fan's tragic fate became a symbol of the severe consequences of violence against women, and the case highlighted the ongoing need to address these issues